Yes, yes. All right, I'm in the middle of finishing up my expense report. I thought I would be done, and now here we are. This is crazy. 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 Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. It's the Tim McKernan Show podcast here on YouTube. I'm broadcasting while... God. The itemization is 2 cents off, and I can't figure out how to fix fucking thing.
I got a couple pennies in my pocket, I think.
It's not going to matter. I hope this went through. God bless America. Let me go into the YouTube chat, see what's doing. Jackson, what's going on with you? Tell me about you. I will buy time by asking about you, but the truth is I'm not interested.
Right. Of course. All good, man. So glad that the weather has turned. We're doing a lot of walking around. Just kind of throwing on the old AirPods and just walking around various neighborhoods.
Walking around various neighborhoods.
Getting the feel of the community.
Isn't it great when the weather is warm?
It's so great.
It's not even like 70s. It's just 50s. You can deal with it.
Yeah, I kind of like this weather, like more. Like I obviously love, like, I think 75 would be most people's like ideal temperature, and I don't think you'd be wrong there. But there's something about like low 60s where it's hoodie or quarter zip and a pair of shorts while you're walking around. It feels really, really good, and like you get into the sun and it feels great. It's a great time to be alive, and I hope this sticks around. You know, I'm really sick of this whole winter weather thing. You know, it's been a brutal.
Yeah, it actually has.
Start of 2025. So I'm looking for the worm to turn, and then sundress season, Tim. Sundress season.
Oh, Bill.
Nasties, sundress season. It's all coming along.
Let's see. Found a great GIF to add to your tweet about us going live for QFTA. I think you're going to be really pleased with it. And that's up there.
Ooh, take a look.
What was that little stunt, Piddles? That's from Marsha's burner. What was your little stunt?
I guess starting and then stopping.
I had to record a couple spots, and I said to Jackson, he goes, let's do it after. And I said, I understand the issue is there's a 74% chance that I will forget once we get done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so the reason why I had to stop the live, if I fire up the microphones and Tim does that, it would go out over YouTube.
Free spot for Universal Windows Direct. That's what it would have been.
Yeah. And
we're not in the YOLA business right now.
Not in the YOLA business. And that's, you know, Tim usually takes, it's about 15 attempts to get it absolutely perfect. And I didn't want people to see that.
Yeah, I require a large number of takes.
Bill O'Reilly.
We'll do it live. MD 2020 says, I had to come to the station Friday to pick up tickets. I was waiting out by the elevator, and Jackson popped around the corner and headed up the steps. I blew my opportunity for an introduction.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would have absolutely loved to talk it over with you.
I was about to say what's up, and then realized I see Jackson on YouTube every day, so I recognized him. But he would obviously have no clue who I am.
Yeah, but you just say, hey, I'm MD 2020, and immediately we'd be fast friends talking it over. We might have had a beer later that day. Who knows, you know? I'm a affable sort. I'm approachable, if nothing else.
You should have said, hi, MD 2020.
It's right. That's my fault. I'll take the blame on this.
Good for you.
Accountability is
It's important
key.
for you to fall on the sword for everyone involved with this program and with TMA. You can send your questions in anytime on this podcast. T. McKernan at InsideSTL.com. TMCKERNAN at InsideSTL.com. You like the attire we wear? Oh, you're wearing a bunch too.
Yeah, absolutely.
TMASTLshop.com. TMASTL.shop.com. I was texting with starter packs yesterday. He's got some magical ideas. And then how about this? There's this AI generator, not that this is cutting edge, but I bet plenty of people in the audience aren't aware of it. So I have some ideas for merch, but then I have to usually send it to Mike Flanagan, and he has to design it.
Right.
And that's a whole thing because he handles all kinds of different companies' merch. And so he goes, how about this? Use this thing. And then I'm able to create a bunch of graphic design, even though I have no graphic design. So I just type in words, and then in like 5 seconds, it spits out like 5 designs for me to peruse.
Right, which gives Mike Flanagan's graphic designer a much easier roadmap to kind of get what you want.
Exactly
as opposed
right.
to just a blank canvas.
Exactly right.
Yeah, that's it. Some parts of AI are extremely effective and helpful.
All right, let me read the emails here. Hi, boys. You only get to witness your favorite teams win a total of 5 championships combined for the rest of your life. How are you splitting those championships up amongst those teams? Thanks and love the new format of the show. That's from Gary Keim. Do you pronounce it Keim? Keim?
Yeah, Keim. Yeah.
Okay. You're going Missouri NCAA tournament, go on a UCLA-like run, 5 straight.
You know, there is something to just allocating it all to one team and making them an absolute dynasty. But for the sake of, I think, my enjoyment, I'll give the Cardinals another World Series.
Okay.
That's 12. I like an even number. 2 Missouri football titles, and then 2 Missouri basketball titles.
Notice you didn't mention the Blues.
They got the chalice.
Cardinals have 11.
It's different. That's how I would allocate it.
Okay.
Ooh, but can I count the U.S. getting a World Cup in there? Because if that's
I think you can. He didn't say they had to be local.
All right, I'll take away one of the Missouri basketball titles for a World Cup. I think I still have to think of Mizzou first and 2 Mizzou football titles.
I will share the World Cup with you.
Yeah.
I will absolutely go Missouri. So I got a World Cup, U.S. World Cup, a Missouri College Football Playoff Championship without question. I think we're going to see a Missouri NCAA tournament championship here in about 6 weeks. By the way, I got to tend to something here. We truly have, but I don't think there's a soul in the audience who likes when people compliment people at work because they think it's kissing ass.
Right.
Don't you think that's the case?
Yeah. Yes. I think it's a tight read.
Yeah, and I don't think that. I think if I were listening to this, I'd go, he's kissing ass.
Right.
But truly, we have a bunch of really good salespeople. Like people, I went to lunch with one. I just enjoy interacting with them. And like 6 months ago, I don't know if you were on this. I feel like Riz was on it, but I don't feel like it was like limited to me and Riz. I feel like maybe everybody with each show. I don't know. There is an event that we were asked to commit to on Saturday, April 5th. Do you know what Saturday, April 5th is, Jackie Papers?
That would be Final Four?
That's right.
Yeah.
Did you commit to this event?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I'll have to check my calendar.
Because I was looking at the St. Louis U High has this auction, and I haven't been able to go to it, and I wanted to go to it, and I went to enter it into my phone. I was going to go with some of my classmates, and I'm like, oh, I got something on the 5th, and I go, what in the hell is this? And I go, oh yeah, I remember the great Pat Keeley asked us about this event to commit to it, and I said, sure. It's one of those things. If you ask far enough in advance, in my mind, it will never occur.
Right.
Well, now I'm going, if Missouri's in the Final Four, I might be down in ATL.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Show might be down in ATL.
That would be awesome. That would be so awesome. Yeah. That's the thing is, like, if something like that was happening.
I put the Masters Week in my phone on the off chance. There's some bullshit. My better half says, hey, would you like... I won't be available Thursday through Sunday at about 6:30 p.m. And then probably going to watch Brandel and the No Laying Up Boys until about 10 o'clock. Right. So, you're welcome to do whatever. Yeah. But me, and there's a good chance at least one of my sons, maybe both, because I was watching Full Swing with both of my sons last night.
They're locked in.
The 3-year-old locked in. Yeah. You can do whatever. You can do whatever. But I got the Masties. And now, what happens if we're in this spot? You're not, though, so you don't really care. This is my problem.
Yeah.
I bet it's Doug's problem, too. I don't know, though.
Yeah, I'm not... If there was
I just remember he mentioned Riz.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like me and Riz. I thought it was everybody with each show. That's what I thought, but this was months ago.
If there's something show-related, like maybe even the whole show live stream of the Final Four viewing party...
Then if I've committed to an event, it's like a kind of relatively, I think, significant thing. I mean, obviously, he was asking me 6 months out.
Right. I think that's when you go down with, what is it, mild case of herpes, who knows?
Mild case of herpes. That happened to Clark W. Griswold in a London hotel on European vacation after they won Pig in a Poke. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
1985? My family and I are looking for sex?
Is that ranked third for you in the vacation rankings?
Christmas Vacation is 1. I'm uncomfortable with the name, but fine.
Sure.
The original Vacation is 2, European Vacation's 3, Vegas Vacation's 4. And I know some people have a real problem with that, and I'll give you my reasoning. And I apologize for my boy. He has a way of getting What was the phrase that he used when Santino got upset with Joe Torre when he was turning down the drug offer?
I spoil my children. They speak without thinking or something. I actually just watched The Godfather, so I should know exactly what he said.
My reasoning is the following. I am anti-sound effects cueing in hillbillies for when they're supposed to laugh. Yeah. Thank you. That's all. Yeah. That's it. That's the end of the podcast, actually. Thank you to James Carlton. Thank you to Mark Hanna. And thank you to Seth Goldcamp. Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling. Mark Hanna, Evergreen Wall Strategies, and Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. That's it. If you got anything, you're welcome. My championships would be the Cardinal World Series, U.S. World Cup, Missouri College Football National Championship, Missouri College Basketball National Championship. Whew. And I think Blue Stanley Cup. I feel good about that.
Yeah. I mean, you're covering all.
But I loved the Blue Stanley Cup run. I remember saying in 2011, and I wrote this column, and it was hated. But that's my brand. Mm-hmm. I said, I don't know if I can be as excited about baseball as we enter the 2012 season because we've reached the mountaintop. It can't ever get better than October 2011.
Right.
And then 6 months later, the Cardinals had a huge comeback against the Nationals. I go, fuck.
Just as exciting.
Yeah, it's just the greatest. I mean, it's obviously a different level, but it was outstanding before Barry Zito carved them up and they lost. But, yeah. So I'm very comfortable. I'd love to find a way to sneak in a St. Louis University national championship. And my reasoning is it could become like a huge thing here. It was a huge thing here. It predates you. In the 1990s at the arena, they packed, I think the Billikens led the country in attendance, which sounds absurd, but they really did.
Yeah.
People would fill the arena, which is now like where Max Local Eats is, to watch Claggett, Highmark, H. Waldman, Donnie Dobbs, and Charlie Spoonhour, Spoonball. So I would love to see that.
Right. And college basketball is a sport that lends itself to smaller schools, can be be powerhouse. Duke is not a big school.
That's right.
I mean, you look at Gonzaga, but not a big school. Martin's alma mater, Marquette, not a big school. It really did. St. John's with Rick Pitino right now, it's not a big school. FAU was in the Final Four just a year ago, So
yeah, that was the most random Final Four.
Very
Who was in the Final? FAU, Miami. Oh, there's another school from that area. And I was there when it was all going on. FAU, Miami. Oh, fuck me, Jackson. God bless it. I know.
And the two teams in the national title.
San Diego State, FAU, Miami, San Diego State.
Back-to-back champs.
Oh, UConn. I thought it was, the reason why I was stumbling is I thought it was 3 teams from South Florida.
No, it was just Miami and FAU.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to think, like, who's the other school down there that I can't think of?
Yeah.
All right. Let me see what's going on here in this YouTube chat. The boys are in there talking. I assume they're boys, I'll be honest with you. Oh, no, MD, you had the perfect chance to meet our Prince of Pale. And he said I was in awe of his presence right in front of me, and by the time I snapped out of it, he was gone. Cucky the Dwarf says Jackson has aura.
It's a big thing these days.
Seems like the MLB is starting to get their shit together when it comes to viewing games on TV, but probably a year or two away. Will it be too late with a possible lockout looming? Good question by MT 2020. See, you had every right to talk to Jackson with those kinds of questions.
Indeed.
All I know is the following. For those of you who are YouTube TV subscribers, and I would imagine if you're a Tim McKernan Show podcast listener, you're trending younger than what we usually are talking to on 101 ESPN. Mm-hmm. I had heard tell about this Amazon Prime thing, and I think it was the Sunday afternoon, evening game the Blues were playing the Avalanche. And no, it was actually the Alexa Dat game that she called on Sunday. That's right. And I went to, or maybe it was the Blues and Jets on Saturday. Either way. And I'm like, oh, Amazon Prime, let me see if I can watch. Let me see if this is real. And I go there, and I click on it, and they're like, well, you got to sign up for the Bally's or FanDuel Sports app. 7-day trial. I'm like, fine, because it's going to be the same deal, $19.99. Boom. Hit yes, and I'm watching FanDuel Sports, and I no longer need DirecTV. And I canceled the DirecTV the next day, and I was told about the $320 early termination fee. And the guy was fighting it, and I appreciate it, because he's probably a Sigma Chi at Missouri, just like me, and just majored in journalism. And this is the spot he's in, And I'm like, I understand you got an employer who listens to these calls and says you didn't ask him 10 times to what would it take to stay, and remind him of the $320 early termination. I mean, I'm just lighting money on fire. $320. I don't care. I'll pay it, But in the long run, I won't be paying the $100 a month to DirecTV and then the whatever I'm paying $100 a month to YouTube TV. So therefore, it will be over.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're paying off the car. Then we're paying off the house. And we're going to get out of debt. And now we're going to invest. So it's going to be tough at first, okay?
Yeah, it's like a Rockwellian christening scene back to The Godfather.
Fuck.
Taking care of all family business.
So worked up. God.
Better now, though.
That exchange with I think the gentleman's name was Amir.
Nice.
I wasn't my best self.
Yeah.
I said, Amir, I know there's a guy telling you got to keep asking. It's real simple. I'm out.
Yeah.
There's not a thing you can offer me that's going to change my mind. I'm out. I understand there's an early termination fee. It's a scam, but I know it's not your fault, Amir.
Right.
I'm going to pay the $320, and we're going to move on. And then you can go into the next chat and try to con somebody into staying with this song and dance.
Oh.
But I'm out because I have discovered Amazon Prime and the FanDuel Sports app. So yes, MD 2020, I share your.
And they always want a reason why. And I get it's probably for they store it into a statistic.
If you're breaking up with me, I don't need to know the reason why.
Exactly. I'm canceling. And then they're like, well, what's the reason? I'm like, I just want to cancel. And they're like, well, can you give me a reason? I just want to cancel. Why do you care?
You don't get a reason.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
the deal. Do I get some cash for giving you a reason? Then I'll give you a reason. Otherwise, you're taking my time. My time is valuable.
Absolutely. And I'm keeping the remote.
I live in St. Louis. I do radio. I'm a star.
Bring up a George Glass.
George Glass. I remember your article after the 2011 World Series, and I, too, was weirdly depressed knowing that was the ultimate season of World Series win.
There's always more.
From Allie Dubb, who's a real-life girl.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think I wrote it at the start of the 2012 season. But I actually was truly depressed the night of the 2006 World Series parade. It was a Sunday, but I also knew that was the first morning grind that I think we were announcing that Martin was not coming back. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeesh. And so began what wound up being a time where I truly was, and I'm not saying it because I think that's one of those things that you got to be careful about saying, but I was indeed depressed in the first half of 2007. I remember saying it to my wife. I said, I've never been here before, but I go to work, driving in, I'd make the turn off of Big Ben onto Old Orchard, and I would think, okay, it's 6:30. I've got to somehow get to 11 o'clock. That's where I was. That's not a good place to be.
No, it is not.
It was brutal. Yeah.
But it's also a look on the bright side of it that even in the darkest of times, there's still a light at the end of the tunnel.
Think about that.
You keep working, keep grinding. Things are never often as bad as they seem, nor as good. So just try
That's
to
what Gabe says on Power Mizzou.
Hey, and he's
Is that where you got that?
I get a lot of my stuff from Gabe.
Do you really?
I'd let Gabe kind of be my life coach. He seems to have a good disposition.
Tim, what if Amir offered you unlimited MFFs to keep DirecTV? You in or you out? I would have stuck around.
IRL MFFs, different than, because there's plenty of internet channels out there. We just talked about AI. They'll craft something up for you real quick.
AI had craft up an MFF?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, pick your two favorite females. Yeah, that's it. They'll get it done.
And they put it together?
Oh, yeah.
Can you do that for me real quick?
Probably is going to cost something, and I'm not going to...
What's the going rate?
I'll have to use like a burner credit card.
My laptop has so many viruses, you would think it's America's Pub in 2006.
I don't get the reference, but I'm sure it was good. But yeah, they could probably whip that up for you. I don't know how sophisticated that is, but I'm sure they can do something for you.
So if I said, God, who would I want?
Yeah, and now you have to man's the test. Ella Reese would have to be in there.
Yeah, Ella Reese and Abigail Mack have already worked together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could pick across time, Like, I'm not saying this is who you'd pick, but in theory, it'd be like...
You're going to pick some big woman, that's your kink. And I don't kink shame. I want to make that clear.
No, but
it's like Lisa Ann said, you're into pretty girls. And I go, what else? I don't know. What else is there?
You could be like Joan of Arc and
Joan of Arc.
Well, I'm just saying, just like...
So you're into arson kink.
Is that... I guess that's probably a kink. Pyrotechnic kink.
Oh, that is.
Well,
I'm not going to kink shame.
I'm not into
Yeah,
that.
but you picked Joan of Arc. I
I'm
mean,
just
out of
saying.
nowhere, of all the women in the history of the world, you picked the one burned at the stake. I mean, that's your kink, and that's fine. I'm not going to kink shame. Doug might. I'm not.
I'm just saying you could pick anybody across history. That's the Cleopatra.
I don't know what she looks like.
I don't think anyone really does.
I know Ella Reese, what she looks like, and it's a lot different than what she looked like in 2021, but that's where we're going.
That's right. That's right. Well, you could pick Ella Reese from 2021 to now.
Can we talk about Sabrina Carpenter and what's going on there?
Let's do it.
What's going on there?
You're talking in terms of
Like, and then the one that's more egregious, and for whatever reason was in my Instagram feed. I think I have so many people on mute now; they're just filling my Instagram feed because everybody's been muted. But somehow yesterday, people may have seen this picture. You may remember the delightful Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things.
just got married to John Bon Jovi's son.
That's right, I believe. You would know.
Yeah. Coolest name in Hollywood being Millie Bobby Brown Bon Jovi.
Wow, that is pretty good.
Yeah.
And it was alarming because she had such a unique, beautiful appearance.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, what is? I honestly thought it was like, oh, there was a charity event in Clayton. That's what I thought it was. And I'm like, how am I following this mute? And then I'm like, oh, this is some,
Right.
TMZ kind of deal. And I go, oh, fuck. And I felt like she was kind of above that. You do that if you're like, some things have.
Yeah, it's when everyone does something.
But then I'm looking at Sabrina. I mean, two of the young stars in music and television, film, whatever. They got the whole thing going, and it makes me feel terribly for them that they feel like they have to do that.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the whole idea behind the movie The Substance that came out this year with the great Demi Moore.
Should I see it?
I wouldn't.
Really?
Well,
it's odd for goodorBad.com.
It's a good movie, but it's like there's a big element of body horror to it, and it's pretty gross at some points, but for effect.
And that's when Andie MacDowell's daughter comes out of her back?
Correct. She just walks out of her back. It's got a lot of body horror elements to it, but it's kind of like this like terrible cycle of like you're a star for this long, and then they drop you because you don't look the same, and so you get the fillers, and then they make fun of you for getting it.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's the rapid cycle of it. It's like you want me to look younger, but you don't want me to do it. Like how am I supposed to bridge that gap?
So I guess what I'm saying is I see it, and it's clearly I don't like manipulation. Is what I think I've decided. Though these are my your
core values, your pillars.
Yeah, I think they might actually be. Well, they're my nerve endings.
Sure. Okay.
And I suppose when it comes to manipulating the public opinion with bullshit, that actually matters. Mm-hmm. But still, now I don't have daughters.
Sure.
But I feel terribly for women. I really do for women. This isn't like I don't find this attractive. I'm like I used to bitch about, and now I don't think it's as common in St. Louis as it was. It kind of predates you, but maybe you'll see it as you guys approach 30. If you were a woman in St. Louis and you weren't married by 30, now I'm going back 2 decades here. It's like, oh, what's wrong with her? Oh, she must be a lesbian. Oh, she must be fucking crazy. I'm like, yeah, maybe she just doesn't want to get married. Fuck off. It's none of your business.
Right.
If a guy doesn't get married by 30, everything's cool. You know what I mean? And it's not like I'm Gloria Steinem here. I'm just looking at double standards.
Sure.
And I feel terribly now in 2025 that clearly young women who are not in my orbit in any capacity, and I'm sure they'd love to be in mine, but I am not. Mm-hmm. And I'm going, God, even... Sabrina Carpenter I find her entertaining, but Millie Bobby Brown, it's like she strikes me as like kind of like in the Natalie Portman precocious brilliance, like Natalie Portman in Beautiful Girls. Millie Bobby Brown got started in Stranger Things, and you could just tell it was kind of like above the bullshit.
Yeah, Natalie Portman went to Harvard.
Yeah, I mean you just could tell, kind of had
right.
And now I'm like, oh, even she now feels like she needs to do it, and I'm just like, like I get it if you're on like. I don't know. I don't want to like soil a show, but like a reality show.
Right, it's different.
You probably, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the ship that you're going to sail on, and that's all you got, and I understand that. But when you have some talent and intelligence, and then you're 22 and 3, and you're getting that shit shoved in your face, and you feel like you got to do it. I don't know. I feel like
When we do our White Lotus recap at the end of this
that's right. You can't wait for that moment.
Very excited. There's a great moment in White Lotus, no spoilers, talking about fillers and such, and it was quite entertaining. A little maintenance.
They talked about White Lotus and fillers.
There's a discussion between Michelle Monaghan and Leslie Bibb about some of the work they may have had.
Yes.
Little maintenance.
Okay, forgot. Little maintenance.
Yeah,
right.
the basics. And that's coming later in the.
I think it was Courtney Cox who said, "I didn't realize how ridiculous I looked until somehow I was able to catch myself one day, and then I realized how ridiculous I looked. And initially I was mad at myself, and then I was mad at other people for not saying anything. But then if they would have said something while I was thinking I looked good, I would have been mad at them. So I understand why not they didn't say it."
It's a catch-22, and that's kind of like when I was talking about the substance. It's like this cycle, but it's tough on both sides. You choose one way, then you might not get the roles you want, this, that, and the other. You choose the other way, people are looking at you funny. It's tough.
Wing Bermuley says, heavy-handed social commentary movie. I don't know what that means.
Probably the substance. Yeah, but I think my reading of it was that it was intentionally heavy-handed to drive home the point. But people read things how they want to read.
And so what was the
social commentary of it? The idea that,
women can't win?
The
or
premise,
women in Hollywood can't win?
The premise of the movie is Demi Moore's does this dance show. It's kind of like a reality kind of dance instruction show. And right on her 50th birthday, she gets fired. And they bring in, they don't bring in Mark Wally. That's unimportant. But at 50, she gets fired. And so someone drops off a little note saying, you can get your job back, you can be a star again with this thing called The Substance, which is like a younger version of you. But you have to switch off. It's a very interesting movie, and it just has some body horror elements that might be a barrier.
You just can't. You can't say good or bad. You just can't.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
But yet you're telling me not to watch it.
I would never watch it again because I don't like body horror stuff. What are
the films that include body horror?
Saw is probably the North Star when it comes to body horror. The movie Hostel, the horror movie Hostel, body horror, gross out stuff. I don't do well with that. I'd rather watch a slasher, a ghost movie, horror movie.
Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore.
Of course, yes, perfect example. I'd rather watch stuff like that in terms of horror than body horror. That shit grosses me out. And
does it really?
Oh, yeah. And this is suturing yourself, injecting yourself with big syringes, self-surgery. Gross. Okay. Really gross. To me.
So you're not able to separate the.
I can understand that it's but they do such a good job making it look real that it really. Saw is disgusting. Why would I ever watch that?
And that's the little guy on the trike?
Yes, Jigsaw is his name.
Darnell Coles.
I think Darnell Coles portrayed him.
Hey fellas, just getting on. Still mad at Jackson from an hour ago. Thanks. That's Joey Vitale's Orange Scully in the YouTube chat. What did you do to Joey Vitale's?
I have no idea. I don't know. If a listener comes to me with a gripe, maybe cite the example. I do a lot of bullshitting.
Joey Vitale's Orange Scully. Jackson's looking for your gripe.
Yeah, I do a lot. I talk a lot of shit.
A pipe fitter from Spanish Lake says body horror is how liberals say gory. It's a pipe fitter from Spanish Lake in the YouTube chat.
No, I wouldn't. I actually think there's a difference. He says gory or slasher. Slasher, gory, or that's Jason, Friday the 13th is a gory slasher movie. Body horror is more the point of it is to mutilate yourself or mutilate someone else. That's kind of Saw is different than Friday the 13th, and I think even he would admit that.
Joey Vitale's Orange Scully says you cucked him on the email of the day.
Time was tight.
Oh, he didn't make it through the filtered file?
I guess. Time was tight, and sorry.
Let's see. The Barnhart Brawler I posted on the TMA fan page. I wonder, did you see the image I posted on the TMA fan?
I saw the one on Twitter. God, that's an example of a botch job, and a bad angle for that selfie too. You gotta go up top.
This Barnhart Brawler, he's right there with Timmy Recaps as far as MVPs of QFTA. Are sports still enjoyed live, or is there a case to be made for self-imposed tape delay? Let me make the case for not watching live. I now have a child and can't always devote hours in the middle of the day or even prime time to sit down and watch a game while it's happening. I DVR or stream replays When I have time to sit down and enjoy, this enables me to skip through commercials or long stoppages, really makes tackle football in the last 5 minutes of college basketball much more bearable. I would agree on the college basketball in a big way. It also forces me to stay off my phone so that I don't get spoiled.
Yeah.
Some games are easier to avoid spoilers than others, but it's probably better for me to spend less time on Twitter or Face page. And knowing I have a game to watch later helps me with that. The downside is sometimes I miss the, quote, in the moment feel of something happening and then being able to text friends or read tweets about it. But I've been not watching live for years and really don't miss it all that much. I have other friends that we go somewhere and they are trying to watch their phone or check the score every few minutes, and I find I'm able to enjoy whatever we were doing more because I know I'll watch the whole thing at my own pace later. Am I doing it wrong, or am I a genius? Thoughts? Also, please do power rankings of breakfast meats, sausage, bacon, ham, etc. Boy, just that's what I'm saying. I mean, Barnhart Brawl is right there with Timmy Recaps, not Caller Adam, I feel like.
Yeah, that right there is interesting. I personally can't, like, it always ends up spoiled for me. Like, I can't figure out a way for it not to get, because I'd have to go on Do Not Disturb, and I find it to be too difficult. I don't know.
I think if it were something that I kind of cared about, I could do it.
Yeah.
There are only Blues first round, maybe second round of the playoffs, where I will not look at my phone and go downstairs, maybe get up a little earlier than normal, and then I watch the playoff game that started at 8:45, and there's just no way I can watch all that, especially if it winds up going overtime, and then still get a good night's sleep and do the show and whatever else I have to do after the show. But other than that, if I really care about something, what is the most recent game that I was emotionally leveraged on? Jackson, you might be able to answer this better than me. Like, really emotionally.
Mizzou, South Carolina football?
No, actually, because I didn't think they had a chance.
Mizzou, Bama football?
Yeah, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I kind of felt like you can't lose to Texas A&M like they lost and still be a real national championship contender. But fuck, who knows? I mean, look what... Hey, a team that lost to Northern Illinois was a few minutes away from winning the national championship, so what do I know? But in the moment, I wasn't necessarily thinking that, but I suppose that might be it. I feel like there might have been another one. But either way, something along those lines would probably be Missouri football. Missouri LSU and Missouri Georgia from the previous season. Definitely. That those would certainly be in the category. And I just can't imagine going to bed not knowing and being like, okay, I'm going to watch it in the morning. Right. Or I had to go to some event and then I'm coming back and watching it. But games I kind of don't care about, that's almost like what I do every morning.
Yeah, right.
There's no way that I can watch. Like last night, I started off watching the Blues game. That's a 7 o'clock puck drop. They're just beating the shit out of those guys. I mean, what in the hell was that with Seattle? And then I'm like, okay. And then I switch over to Missouri, and sure enough, by the time I'm over there, they're up by 10, and I'm going, God bless America. Early, by the way.
Right, probably.
I'm going, and started going up. That I'm going, I should have bet the damn thing. Yeah. And I wasn't going to bet as much as I was talking about betting, but I was going to just put a small taste. What do you think a small taste is for me? Let's see if you know my small taste number.
$100?
It's going to be 50.
50, yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I just left it out there.
Yeah.
And then if I would have lost it, I'd been like, oh, good, I didn't. But I'm like, I just forgot to do it because I was watching the Blues game, and then I started watching Full Swing with my boys. So games where I'm not like really emotionally invested. What would be the next game where I'm really emotionally invested? Probably Missouri's NCAA tournament game. That'll be the next one where I'm emotionally invested.
Whatever that first round game is.
Yeah. Actually, probably the Notre Dame playoff run, not for myself, but for my family.
Yeah,
that's where I would have been.
Probably Notre Dame, like Texas.
Notre Dame, Georgia, Penn State.
Final,
they didn't play Texas.
Not Texas.
Ohio State played Texas.
Right.
Arizona State played Texas.
There you go.
Let's see. He was mad. I figured out a family secret of his. That's from Joey Vitale's Orange Scully. Is he back on you in the email of the day?
I guess. I don't filter the email of the day. It's Chairman Kurt, and I assume if you talked about my family, that probably would keep you from doing it.
That would be a universal rule on the program. We kind of have a policy. Although last week's podcast, we focused on the guy who called my wife something.
Oh, that's right.
Gold digger?
Trophy wife.
Trophy wife. Right. Is it the same thing? Is it the same thing?
Now that's
and
good.
How I appreciate the fact that he used his own name.
Yeah.
And I stand by it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know my dad called in, but that doesn't mean like you can talk about I prefer my family not be.
Did you know he was going to be calling in?
No, that was a total surprise. Yeah, total surprise. He said if there was any big spring training news, he'd be the correspondent.
And he's on Jordan Walker. He's going to draft him now in the first round.
Mr. Optimism, though, when it comes to
so I shouldn't take Jordan Walker
St.
in
Louis
the first
Cardinals
round.
stuff. I'm not saying he's watched like 55 years of baseball, but he's very optimistic.
I got to tell you, I'm not to I'm shipping the roll, but 76.5 is such a low number.
With how bad they were last year and going not way over, but plenty over, sweat-free kind of.
The White Sox at 53.5 is the one that at this moment, I'm like, oh, I really like that. But that's more about the math. I couldn't tell you the first fucking thing about the operation. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to really be rough to lose 100 games. Poof. And so if they win 55, they're still losing more than 105 games. It was 107 games. And I also got to rank these breakfast meats. I got to do that.
Yeah.
Sausage, bacon, ham, etc. I'm going to throw people off here. Canadian bacon puts me in a good place.
That's just
not good enough to say bacon.
Yeah.
I'm going to go bacon, Canadian bacon, ham, sausage. But I want to make this clear. I don't have anything against sausage. I enjoy sausage, but it's just going to be fourth in my rankings.
Yeah. All right. I respect that. I go bacon 1.
Okay.
Sausage links 2.
Interesting.
Sausage patties 3, and then ham and Canadian bacon. I like ham in a sandwich. I never would eat ham by itself.
Just like random ham.
No thanks. Not for me.
Our Christmas dinner, and I think many people's Christmas dinners, ham, and then we'll get muscatoli from Ferrado's.
Solid. I love muscatoli.
From Ferrado's, it is the titties. yes.
Baked pasta in general is like some of my favorite food.
We don't get it baked.
You don't get it baked?
No.
Oh, well then I might...
Baked is kind of getting into the for the fats community. Well, and I say that all due respect.
Well, it's muscatoli. What are you hedging? It's Christmas dinner.
But now you're going to put like 3 pounds of cheese on top of it?
Yeah. I mean, if we're doing it, let's do it. It's like getting the grilled chicken at KFC.
That's how people line up in a spot.
For sure. But that's why you only do it once in a while. I think people end up baking their muscatoli much more often than they let off.
You think a lot of people are closet bakers of muscatoli?
I mean, yeah, but if I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it baked.
All right, that's fine. Hey, you're kind of getting on the verge of kink shaming here.
It's true. I apologize.
I'm willing to go into another topic, but I went into this one thinking, I got to do this. I got things on Thursday and Friday.
Sure.
And so I need to do QFTA today. So I'll be honest with you, I don't have a whole lot. In a normal world, I wouldn't be doing QFTA today, but I need to do it today or else we won't do it this week, and I got to do it.
Yeah.
So if somebody has something they want me to talk about in the YouTube chat, I'm going to it's 12:15 right now. I will hang out. And who knows, it could launch us and we could be here until 3. Jackson is hoping everybody shuts the fuck up.
No, I'm chilling.
But I got a lot going on. And it's a good thing. So you can't post it in the YouTube chat, otherwise I'm going to land the plane.
Well, first it was just a brief White Lotus recap.
Oh, yeah. This is perfect time for the White Lotus recap.
All right, I'm gonna right now, if you haven't watched it and you plan on watching it, stop listening right now. I'm going to
You're going to miss out, but then it's going to be weird because then the podcast goes another 3 hours and people go, what the fuck happened?
That's why I'm going to timestamp post
the
time we talk about it so that no one, if you want to catch it, you can catch it. If not, 3, 2, 1, White Lotus. We're in Thailand, baby. How are you feeling about it so far? 2 episodes in.
I love the... I don't even know. I bet you have a word for it. And you're accused of hijacking some guy's podcast on the Ringer?
I guess, yeah.
But I don't know which podcast it is.
I credit usually. If I do reference, I credit.
But I love as insane as it sounds, like how White Lotus starts with just kind of, I realize it's exotic, well-heeled life, but there isn't a whole lot going on, but it's character development.
Absolutely.
And I enjoy the blasé nature of it because you're paying attention so closely. It's one of the reasons why I love the movie The Graduate with all the symbolism of that time in American history that predates both of us. The film itself might not have a whole lot going on, but when you think about all the references and symbolism, that's what gets me going. So I think that's why I like White Lotus, even though there isn't a whole lot going on.
Right. So
and I'm always looking for which 2 women are going to hook up.
And
We've yet
to really get lesbianism in the show.
God, let me ask you this. What if Sydney Sweeney and Alexandra Daddario would have hooked up poolside?
Yeah, would have been a real game changer.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that would have been.
Can you even imagine?
People's television would have.
It would have broken MASH's final episode ratings.
That's right, big time. I think you're exactly right with that because, like, I read a lot of recaps and I consume a lot of White Lotus content, and like all of these, it's a lot of theories about who's going to die. They always lead off the show with like a cold open of like kind of what happens at the end of the week of the vacation. But you stick around, you come back every week because it's so good at studying human interaction, relationships. It's kind of the pressure cooker, and you have the possible murder hanging over the entire season. But you really come back week by week, A, for the beautiful setting, and B, for the human interaction. Who is your favorite group of vacationers this week? I'll lay out the groups. You have Belinda, back from season 1, the masseuse from Hawaii, who got screwed over.
So she was not on season 2.
She was not. Okay. Back in season 1. You have Walton Goggins and his girlfriend, Amy Lou Wood.
Belinda, fat black lady. I'll do the stuff that Jackson won't. Walter Goggins, Walton?
Walton.
He's an Alabama gentleman, a white. He's a white, probably in his 50s, I would guess,
53.
with a very unique male pattern baldness situation going on.
I don't know if they're adding that to him because it's like a big bald spot on the back.
Oh, he has a bald spot. He has a very unique,
and then a very receding, but just on like one side, which makes me think that this is some work. They say of Walton Goggins and his British girlfriend, who's played by Amy Lou Wood, who has a if you don't know, teeth situation. I actually think it looks good. Like it's like unique.
And how old is Amy Lou Wood? And last year we had somebody with another Lou.
That was I can't remember.
Somebody Lou Richardson?
Haley Lou? Yeah. I feel like
Haley Lou Richardson?
Yeah, that sounds right.
What's she done since White Lotus? Anything?
I can't think of much. But I'm sure she'll be in some stuff coming up. I'd have to imagine. She's really good.
So how old is Emmylou Harris?
Amy Lou Wood, I would say, is probably in her late 20s. She was in the sex education at college.
Is it awkward that she's with Walton Goggins at 53, 4, 5?
Their relationship is, she's 30. Her relationship is confusing with him.
So this is like a Clayton situation.
When they first started the episode, I thought she was like maybe a hooker.
Like AU?
Well, because Walton Goggins is clearly there for other reasons, and as we've learned.
Spoiler alert!
Again, but I've said front end, I took care of it. Walton Goggins clearly there for other reasons than the wellness retreat, considering he doesn't want to do anything.
I have to tell you, I relate to Walton Goggins. I'm waiting for my wife while we're watching it. Because I know what she's going to say. Anything. She's going to make the sound. And she's gonna go. He's just like. And I'm like, this Walton Goggins. This is my spirit animal.
Yeah, he's outstanding, and he's smoking darks.
I'm telling you, if I were to get divorced again, and like I never get to see my kids, I'd be Walton Goggins. I'd be with some like 20 years younger than me. I have zero interest in outside of the occasional fucking, and I don't even want to humor the conversation. That's what I would be doing.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
She probably had 2 kids at 18 and 19, and we're both in this spot, and we're just kind of playing out the back half of the 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just and on the off chance I can get hard, we'll bang. It's going to be great. That's our relationship.
So that's that group. Then you have the Ratcliffe family. That's Parker Posey, who's on one. A very aggressive North Carolina
Best in the show.
She's
Rich Gould's
great.
film.
Yeah, right there. No, I actually have it right over there. Parker Posey, Jason Isaac, who plays Tim Ratcliffe, who looks a lot like my uncle.
And he was in The Patriot with your favorite actor, Mel Gibson.
Right. He's really trying that Southern accent, even though the British accent comes out.
I couldn't figure out what the fuck the accent was initially.
Both of them are really missing on it.
Well, Parker Posey is hopped up on pills.
Yeah, she is.
So that explains that.
Right.
But I was looking at him like, I think that's the guy who Mel Gibson, spoiler alert, vanquished at the end of The Patriot.
Yes, Jason Isaac.
And he's talking like he's British, but then he's also talking like he's from the South. And then one of their kids is going to North Carolina, one of the kids going to Duke or something like that.
Yes.
And I'm going, I guess he's supposed to be a Southerner, but he's got a very odd Southern dialect.
And that call he made in the second episode, you can hear his British accent coming out.
Why can't we do another take?
That's what I think Mike White might have been frustrated by it, so he's just like, all right, fuck it. Then you have Saxon, their son, played by Patrick Schwarzenegger.
I did know that. My wife was the one who told me that.
Yeah, Patrick Schwarzenegger. And then Piper, who's there to do her thesis at North Carolina. And then Lockie. Now, I'll get into this family.
I need to talk about that situation. And I said to my wife, I go, what the fuck is going on with Lockie? Am I off on this? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, there seems to be a thread of incest going on.
That's what I said. I go, I'm not going to kink shame,
but this is illegal.
But there's been 2 different scenes, and after the first one, I'm like, I've already snorted my sleeping pills. God only knows. So I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But then the second time, I said to my wife, I go, I got to tell you, I think this guy wants to fuck his brother.
Then not only that.
And I haven't said that in like 3 years.
Not only that, Game of Thrones really conditioned us for all this incest. Patrick Schwarzenegger was talking about how hot his sister is. And then Parker Posey goes into a story about her uncle Babe, who would spit on her. There's a thread of incest going on through this. Lockie's clearly into the male form. He almost watched his brother jerk off. It's like
off.
And then he's staring at his ass the next morning. There's a real thread of incest going on throughout this family. And then the final group is the Cougars, the 3 women friends, Michelle Monaghan, Leslie Bibb, and Carrie
How old do you think Michelle Monaghan is? Do you know?
I don't. I'll say 41. Over,
big time. She's older than me.
Oh, she looks great.
She does. She looks better than she did in The Heartbreak Kid with the great Ben Stiller.
Right. Leslie Bibb, who you've probably seen in the million comedies, Curb. I know she's been in Curb once at least. Leslie Bibb and then Carrie Coon. That's my personal favorite of the group of travelers, those 3.
And that's because you think they're all going to hook up at some point.
No, I love the fact that as soon as one of them leaves the room, I mean,
100%. That's what I said to my wife. Outside of, I think this guy's going to fuck his brother. I said, this is just like when you broads get together. Yes. I know exactly this bullshit. One leaves the room. That's what I said about you motherfuckers when you were staying at the place and I was over at the other place down in Jupiter. And I said, I'm going to be the bad guy.
Yeah. Not the case, I can tell you. We were mostly trying to
Doesn't matter. There's not a thing you can tell me that's going to make me believe that. Now, if it were me, Doug, and Martin, all we would do is talk about a bunch of bumblefucks who work in this industry over the last 25 years.
That's maybe what we did.
Yeah, but we wouldn't like go, oh, and Jack, because everybody's like, oh, we like Jackson. Jackson's this, harmless creature. God bless him.
Thank you. Yeah.
But me not being there, I'm just telling you, I got motherfucked. I guarantee I got motherfucked.
I would just ask.
So I motherfucked you 3 to my wife the whole time.
That's a nice justification. But I love those 3 because as soon as one leaves the room, they're just talking shit immediately.
100%. You knew it was coming too.
Their conversations.
I knew it was coming.
Are so surface level and so vapid. Like it's so good. And you can tell that the pressure is building.
White Lotus is Clayton, Missouri.
It's so good.
Think about that.
Yeah, those 3 are my favorite. One of them is going to try to bang the Valentine, their like health mentor. One of them is going to bang Patrick Schwarzenegger. Can't wait to see it happen. It's so good. Those 3 are my favorite. Do you have? It seems like Walton Goggins and his British girlfriend are your favorite.
do find Walton Goggins incredibly, because again, this is like, I'm like, okay, if I have a misstep and I get divorced, I'm Walton Goggins. And that is, I'm looking at my relationship. Somebody 25 years younger than me, I have 0 interest in, and it's just this awful relationship. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, and then there's also Gay Talk and Mook, the locals who work at the hotel. Gay Talk really trying his hardest to get Mook. Probably not going to happen. Mook. Not going to happen. But those 2, there's going to be a lot going on there. I really love the setting. I'm so glad to be back.
How many sods are there, boy?
8, longest season yet. The first season was 6.
Is that right? Really?
Last season was 7. This is 8. So we have a lot. And I think, and again, I've already predetermined this is going to be spoilers. We're going to Bangkok with Walton Goggins, and I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to go with Walton Goggins.
Do you have a read on what his situation is?
So I think there's 2 ways to look at it. Either because he said in his therapy session or his meditation session that his father was murdered before he was born. Either this guy who he's chasing after, who owns the hotel,
the husband of the Thai lady who performed in episode 2.
Love the performance.
Magical.
I think either this is possibly his father, like he was given wrong information as a kid, or this is the guy who murdered his father.
I think that's it. I think that's a nice read.
Yeah, I think that is what's going on there. Or possibly screwed out of a business deal.
And then the final scene of the whole thing, when we come full circle, is the guy comes back to exact his revenge, and those are the hitmen.
Right.
And then the lady who returns from season 1 gets whacked.
Belinda.
There you go. I'm telling. I just ruined the whole show. I don't.
Right.
But
Her son's there.
Right.
Although her son, that body's floating in the water. If it was his mom, don't you think he would go towards her and not away? Towards, not away.
If it's her
and floating, because that right at the end of the cold open, where we see a dead body and the gunshots.
That's right.
The son of Belinda sees the body, and instead of going towards, he backs away because it's a dead body. Gross.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Do you want to know what's going to happen? I'll tell you. Fine.
Yeah.
The hitmen are going to come back over to the island at the White Lotus. And the reason why Goggins has the hair like he has it is because it kind of looks like Patrick Schwarzenegger's hair.
Yeah.
Patrick Schwarzenegger is going to be banging one of the three cougs from Bricktops.
Yeah.
And then the hitman's going to see the hair from behind, think it's Goggins, and it's going to turn out to be Patrick Schwarzenegger. There you go.
I like that. I like that.
I write these things on this podcast.
You and Mike White. Yeah, I'm such a big fan. They're laying some seed. The poison fruit. That first episode, they get to this fruit is poison. Don't eat it. It's very, very poisonous. I feel like there's
going to be something there.
It's either a red herring or it was said very intentionally because that might come in. And we know that there's a blender coming because for the reason Patrick Schwarzenegger's slamming cabinets trying to find the blender. He's great. He's so fucking funny.
Well, you really are. Wow.
Well,
you're like Lockie. Do you want to impale him?
No, I don't. No, I think
Lockie probably wants to bottom.
There's also a possibility that Lockie wants to bang his sister. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
That's a storyline. And again, this is a podcast. It's like been vehemently against kink shaming.
For sure.
But and I'm sure I was already, this was NyQuil too. I mean, I have been so fucking sick over the last month that more than half of the last 30 nights I have taken NyQuil. Big field house shots of NyQuil too. Like, so I'm already taking these pills, which when I tell doctors what I take, they go, you really shouldn't. So... And then I add to it a shot of NyQuil. And I took it, and I remember, and it was like 10 o'clock. And my wife goes, you really think you're going to be able to last throughout the whole thing after the pills and the NyQuil? And I go, give it a shot. Fuck it. And I did. Champion. They can't tame me.
Right.
They can't tame me.
Right.
So I watched the whole thing with this shit going on. And then the first time after the NyQuil shots and the pills, and I'm like, did that young kid just like make eyes at his brother's ass? Or while his brother's beating off?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And then the second time, I got to tell you, I think this guy wants to fuck his brother. Words I have never said before, at least not in a handful of years. All right.
Last thing I'll ask.
We went 15 minutes with this White Lotus breakdown.
Last thing I'll ask. We see the return of Greg.
Greg from Succession, tall boy, in Saturday Night.
Nicholas Braun might one day end up in White Lotus, and if that happens, I'm so there for it. No, Greg, played by Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, season 1, season 2, season 3.
Oh yeah, he is back.
He's masquerading as Gary.
Right,
living in Thailand.
I said that to my wife. I said that was the guy that was with Jennifer Coolidge.
Yes,
I'm right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's Greg. Yes.
All right.
And so he's back, and I think that's the reason they brought Belinda over from season 1 because she would be the only person to know who he really is. Season 1, Tanya was going to finance Belinda's massage parlor.
Oh, that's now I remember the whole thing. Yeah.
But left with Greg to go to Sicily. Greg obviously pulls off some sort of situation in season 2. Greg is back for whatever reason, still at the White Lotus. Seems like a bad play, but regardless. So I think we're going to get some major moments between those two.
Got it. Nice prediction.
Yeah, I think the table has been set. I think it's going to be a great season of television.
People went with these topics. Hi, Jackson and Tim. What the fuck's going on with our federal government? If you get on Twitter, it's either the best thing to ever happen or the worst thing to ever happen. I've kind of just given up. I fall into that category. I fall into that category. I don't know, Jackson, if you want to espouse any opinions, but I don't really see that necessarily on Twitter. But I guess that depends on who or what you follow. But yeah, I'm back in my I'm tuned out, and that's where I am, to be transparent with the audience. How about this one? This will activate you. Two-parter. Has Mizzou hoops/football become the #1 topic in local sports with the sorry state of the local pro teams? Can Gates build a perennial power and not an up-and-down roller coaster program? I don't. Listen, I would love it. I just don't. For whatever, and if it happens, I don't know if it can happen in like the tenure of my career. It could maybe happen in yours, where Missouri is an accepted lead topic without pushback.
Yeah.
I want to try to restate that, where Missouri is an accepted lead topic without pushback. So, for example, my first television job in Little Rock, it went without saying. Arkansas football, Arkansas basketball were the lead. If the Cowboys were playing, they were the lead for football, and if the Cardinals were playing, they were the lead for baseball. Otherwise, it was all Arkansas all the time. And I think that's probably the case for most SEC states. Florida and Georgia, perhaps the exceptions, but that's just because there's so many pro teams in the state, and you have some big cities in the state up and down the. I mean, because the Gators are, 5-6 hours away from Miami. So anyway, I don't know. It would take a national championship and kind of perennial for it to get there, and then also the Blues and Cardinals kind of fumbled dicking around for a while. I don't want to say it's always in my career, minus, I should note, 2000, 2001, and maybe the first part of 2002. The lead, and then 2019, the lead is always the Cardinals. Now, I know some Blues fans really hate that. I don't know what to tell you. I have no skin in the game. I'm just telling you what I've seen in a quarter century. And the Rams owned this market. And that's when the Cardinals and Blues were both really good, too. 2000, 2001, 2002. They won a playoff series in each, with the exception of 2000, where they lost in the first round, but they won the President's Trophy. But the Rams owned the market then, and then 2019, there was nothing like that as far as a non-Cardinal run goes, with the 2 months of the Blues in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Other than that, it's the Cardinals. I really do sense that the market is hungry, open to the idea of this team surprising them, especially with TMA listeners who heard those guys on the show.
Definitely.
But overall, and while, hey, it's lovely that TMA has its following, it still is representative of whatever sliver of the population. Overall, there is either anger or apathy at the Cardinals. But if you get out to a quick start, and there are a couple of young guys in particular, I think people hop on board who get it going.
Yeah.
I think the Nolan Arenado opening day standing ovation, if it does take place, will be nauseating. And another example of, look at us, we're great. He doesn't want to be here. I don't think that's anti the city of St. Louis. He just doesn't want to be here through this, and I don't have a problem with that. But somehow he's become a bad guy for some portion of the Cardinal fans. And then you're going to have the people seeking approval from a 33 or 4-year-old professional athlete who really doesn't care one way or the other, standing up and giving an ovation on opening day. Yep. That'll be a hand job.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be.
That will be a hand job.
Oh, yeah. I'd say standing ovation for each and every player as they head up to the plate. Thank you for being here.
Wow.
Yeah. Wilson Contreras will 100% get a standing O.
I think you're off on this.
I don't think with those comments he made in the offseason about wanting to stay here.
The over-under is 0.5.
On the standing O's.
So you should bet the entire bankroll.
Yeah, because Arenado will get one and Contreras.
Contreras didn't get a standing ovation.
I think he will.
People like him here.
Mm-hmm.
They read Buster Olney's comments on the Cardinals Wilson Contreras deal, and it must make their heads explode. People like him in St. Louis, but I don't think it's the ballpark rises to its feet. Like 80% of it will when Nolan Arenado is announced, should he get there. I don't think it's a coincidence he made the trip to Tampa today for the Cardinals to play the Yankees. For the record, I think if they were playing some other slapdicks over there, I think he's like, I'll be fine playing medalist today.
Yeah. Foul Territory actually theorized exactly that.
Oh, is that right? Really?
We'll have that audio tomorrow on TMA.
Oh, is that right? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he's like, is Arenado going there solely to show off what he's got for the Yanks? And it seems like a tight read.
Without question.
Yeah. And then on the Gates thing that he asked, I think just the nature of college basketball, college athletics in general, is like you have to capitalize in the transfer portal or else you might open yourself up to a bad season, Look at this year. Great time in the transfer portal, and it's paying dividends. You have a thing last year where you get some good guys in the portal, but they get injured. You might be staring at a really tough season. And I think that's just the nature of the beast.
Guys, I wasn't saying it as if I wish Mizzou is our number one priority, more of a reflection on how sad state pro sports have become. And I am a huge Mizzou guy. The early aughts were so good, we didn't know what we had. I guess he's talking about the Cardinals, Rams, and Blues. I have a tough time believing that both the Cardinals and Blues will stay in this state throughout the rest of this decade, which I kind of feel like is an obvious statement. And unfortunately, I don't know if you've seen, because that podcast, and God bless them, I appreciate it. I listen to it, but usually I immediately delete it when it pops up. That SEC podcast, and now they're doing stuff year round.
Not in the off season, they don't.
They're just like grabbing for topics.
Yeah. Is cowbell more annoying than the Gator Chomp or something? And then they do 40 minutes on it.
And they did the over/under win totals for all the team in the SEC. Well, we don't even know who the fuck's on.
No idea who's on the team.
But either way, I was curious if. Yeah, here it is, predicting 2025 over/under win totals. Okay. Well, maybe it's predicting the win. It's not even going.
Oh, predicting the win.
Their totals.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I don't know what Missouri's would be. What do you think? I was good. I would probably say 8.5.
Yeah, with an unknown like a quarterback who we don't know how he would work in the offense if he ends up.
But there's a real. But hey, this isn't like a Missouri exclusive thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they were 10-3 last year. That was second. I mean, I don't even know if we need to combine more than anything that would get us past 60 seconds to add 3 losses and subtract 3 wins.
Yeah. So, pretty easily.
Which was kind of not that exaggerated, but kind of my reasoning for what was Missouri's win total this year that I loved the under? 9.5, right? And I hated it, but God, I wanted to bet it. But I didn't want to be watching Missouri and cheering for them to lose, so I didn't bet it. But I loved that more than I loved the over on their wins the year before. Mm-hmm. So what you try to do when you gamble what I try to do is you try to find the edges, and so often the edge is rooted in things that are kind of outliers mathematically and or prisoner of the moment takes. And that's where you can, once you find out that you got somebody who's kind of thinks that, which is a lot of people, then you can move in on them. And Missouri, I mean, imagine, and I might forget something, the Vanderbilt game, holy shit, the Auburn game, holy shit. I don't know which one was more unlikely. The Oklahoma game. Am I leaving anything out?
Those were the 3. I thought.
Okay. And I don't remember the bowl game. They won. They played Iowa. Okay. But, I mean, that's how they got to 10-3. Right, but if we're talking about, the stuff that people really cared about outside of boosters who like trips, they went 9-3. And that was seconds away from 6-6. And people going, Drinkwitz is on the hot seat. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right, 100%.
And that's kind of how I went into. I thought there was an overvaluing of Ohio State. Martin really enjoys the talk of the Cotton Bowl. And then also kind of forgetting about the Florida 4th and 18? Cook to Burden, if memory serves.
Yeah. Yep.
And was there another one along the way? Middle Tennessee State, but that was early in the season when nobody was really paying attention. Yeah. I never felt like Memphis was in doubt, but some people would point the Memphis game, and I was at that game. I was like, that was never in doubt.
For a half a second when Cody Schrader fumbled on Missouri's 18-yard line, I thought, oh shit, now they're gonna have to.
But I was at Vanderbilt. I was at Auburn. I was watching Oklahoma. I didn't think they were going to win any of those games. And I think when it was tied or they were down 6-3 at the half at Auburn, I said to my wife, this is different than Vanderbilt. I don't think they're coming back on this one.
The Auburn game, I had no.
And then I wound up live betting them to come back and win, and I got plus 800. But I'm just like, they gotta. The thing is with college football, though, it's just a whole new roster, which is great because you don't go, this class is graduating. We got to wait 2 years to find out. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And I got rooms for, I think, 3 games in September at the Ritz-Carlton at Columbia. Kansas, South Carolina. Roll Tide, I guess, is in October.
Yeah.
And then I got another one, maybe the A&M game.
Maybe a good one to get.
Yeah. That's in the first weekend of November, I think.
Ooh. Great fall weather, foliage. Right?
Oh, I love myself some good foliage. So if you can have that, so it's a good thing that it wound up going that way, but from a gambler's edge standpoint. But the other part of it is a lot of the guys who are going to be playing in 2025 weren't a part of 2024. Right. They were just with Penn State, Mississippi State, take your pick.
And I think when you look at the 2023 team, and Gabe's talked about this, and I know you've talked about it as well, is obviously when you're changing rosters as much as it is in college athletics, like it can be great. You can bring in a lot of talent, but you can bring in all the talent you want. But if there aren't like true leaders on the team, like if there isn't people on the team in uniform, like stepping up and becoming those leaders, you can miss out on close games like the Missouri had. South Carolina game is a close loss.
Yeah, that was one that goes the other way. Yeah. That one goes the other way. The other two losses did not.
No,
the South Carolina one absolutely went the other way.
Right.
100%. You're right. That thing was very close to being 10-2. I would say it was closer to being 6-6 than it was 10-2. But either way, it was close to being 10-2.
Yeah, and I think that the leader and those intangibles often come, at least from what I would think, from being in the program for a while. Like you'd have to be a special kind of person to like come into a school as a third or fourth year and like immediately take over the locker room as a leader. Like I think you'd have to be a really dominant player. But if you're at a place,
Bo Prabula,
and maybe Bo Prabula has that gene in him, and I hope he does. But I would also understand completely being like, I just got to this locker room. Like, I don't know if it's my place to speak when there's guys who have been here 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
like,
it's a tough spot. That's got to be organic, because otherwise you become like Russell Wilson, try hard.
Your own office.
and then that's a problem. All right, Jackson, I gotta go.
Sure.
I gotta go.
I'm satisfied.
All right, what do we go? Hour and 4 minutes.
Hour and 6. Good. But actually, with probably closer to an hour 4. Well done.
Why do you say probably closer to an hour and 4?
Well,
if you're looking at hour and 6.
It says hour and 6 here on the live stream, but we don't start as soon as the live stream starts. Probably 2.5, maybe 3 minutes after.
Huge win for me. All right, you can always email in questions, McKernan at InsideSTL.com for QFTA. Anything is welcome. Still offering, what am I offering, $500 for one of the Reddit people to come on?
Wow, that's, yeah.
Is that what it is?
I thought it was $250, but.
I'll go fight. That's not going to matter. They're not going to do it.
Clearly at this point. The offer's been out there for a year.
Tim McKernan at InsideSTL.com. For Jackson Bennett-Burkett, I'm Tim McKernan. Thank you to James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. Mark Hanna of Evergreen Wealth Strategies online at evergreenstl.com, and Seth Goldcamp of Design Air Heating and Cooling online at designairservice.com. This has been the Tim McKernan Show podcast.